Hello, everyone. My name is Kenzie Schwab, and today I am going to be going live with Courtney Klimson. And we're going to be talking a little bit about mental health and how to navigate this tough time, especially while we're dealing with COVID-19. So I'm going to invite Courtney right now, and we're going to talk a little bit about mental health. Courtney, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, hello. How are you doing?
Hello. Surprisingly okay, I think. Thanks for
Yeah,
asking.
yeah. It's a Monday, but I think it's still a great day. Where
I
are
mean,
you
does it
at
even
right now?
count as a Monday after the weeks that we've been living?
I don't know. Is Sunday even Sunday anymore?
I don't know, except for that it was Easter, so we'll give that one a good yes.
Right.
But other than that,
I know. Where are you right now? Are you?
so
Go ahead.
yeah, I some of you may remember me from. I mean, we were just at Greenville. Gosh, maybe a month and a half ago, 2 months
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
At the time, we were very proud New Yorkers, and I will always be a proud New Yorker. However, um, when COVID started to hit our city, I have a compromised immune system. I've got an autoimmune disease. So if my husband gets a little cold for a couple of days, I get bronchitis for 4 weeks.
Oh,
So, yeah. So he was really nervous. He was really starting to get nervous. When we Anyways, point is, we moved to Niles, Michigan, three and a
wow.
half weeks ago, very last minute. We were fighting about it for quite a few number of days because I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I was used to kind of staying in our apartment, especially when he would go on tour because I'm just an introvert. I'm a homebody.
Hmm.
But the city started kind of malfunctioning a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, the grocery stores, some of them were closing and getting into them, and the lines was becoming really dangerous. We couldn't find toilet paper for days. I mean, I was using paper towel. It was that bad.
Oh, that's so bad.
Because you could find paper towel, but you couldn't find toilet paper. Don't flush paper towel, just for the world to know. um, and and we were planning on moving to Michigan at the end of April. And my husband really wanted to get out of New York like immediately. And I was willing to leave
Mhm.
New York just with a couple of suitcases of clothes and come back. But he was saying, no, no, we need to leave, like pack up everything we have and leave because he wasn't really quite sure that the island wouldn't eventually shut down. At the time we were talking about this, there were a matter of hundreds of cases, just hundreds in New York City. On Friday morning, the 20th, hundreds went to 4,000.
Wow.
And, Paul was really anxious. We got to get out of here. We got to go. And I was like, no, 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 no. God is not telling me this. I do not feel an urgency to go. So we're going to talk to my five closest people in my life. And if you can convince them that we need to pack up our whole life, sure, let's go. So I started making phone calls, and then and all of our friends quickly started siding with Paul. And then I was like, that's it. I'm going to call my mom. Mom is going to be the one. She's
Wow.
a pastor. She's going to be the level-headed one. She's going to see it from my point of view. And she was on my team for the first 5 minutes of the talk, and then my husband started talking, and within 20 minutes my mom was on team Paul, go, go, go. So that was at 11:30 in the morning on Friday. He left and he went to New Jersey to get supplies because you can't really get a lot of supplies in New York City. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was packing our first box, and by 4 p.m. on the next day, Saturday, we had everything we owned in a U-Haul, and we were headed to Michigan. But this was 3 weeks ago, so
Wow.
at the time, New York City was considered the epicenter of the disease, and it still is, really. I think we're up to over 100,000 cases in just 3 weeks.
Wow.
So it was the right decision to make. It's taken my heart and my mind 3 weeks to catch up with that call. But we were concerned that we would be carriers of it, and so when we moved to Niles, we quarantined in a tent
Wow.
for 2 whole weeks. And that was, we took a couple of weekends. We would go to a hotel. There's a brand new hotel on the edge of town. And so we stayed in there a couple of nights, but our whole industry shut down, right? So we work in entertainment, as you guys probably know by now. So without money coming in, you don't want to go drop $1,400 on a hotel. So we would just go
No.
there on the weekends. And then when we cleared quarantine, we stayed in there for 14 days. We moved in with my cousins who have 4 great kids that we consider our own. A beautiful, huge property. There's a pond here and a tennis court and a volleyball court. And there are 5 Labrador retrievers that are all, she breeds Labrador puppies. And so 2 of the mamas are pregnant. We'll have puppies in the next couple of days.
That's awesome.
So going from a tent to this beautiful big property has really helped. And we'll be here. My cousins are actually building us an apartment downtown. So until that apartment's ready, we'll be here for, I think we got another 3 or 4 weeks. But we're just thankful that we're safe. We're thankful that we made it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been an interesting few weeks.
I mean, have you been planning to move to Michigan then?
Right. So yes, we are starting a nonprofit for the touring community. We're calling it the Clinic, a roadie advocacy group. And we actually bought a commercial building here in Niles, downtown on Main Street. It's a historical, beautiful community. We bought that building back in October. And we were planning on moving here end of April, beginning of May. Beginning of May, Paul was supposed to be on tour with Drake, and that's not happening.
No.
All of March and April, he was supposed to be out with Alicia Keys and John Legend. None of that stuff happened. So yeah, we were planning on moving here early May, but yeah, it got pushed up a little bit because we have a ton of work we can do on that building. It's from the 1860s, and there's a lot of work to do.
I mean, that's crazy, but you packed up and left so quickly. Like, how did you like cope with living in a tent for 2 weeks?
I didn't very well. You know, my husband was a Boy Scout. He almost became an Eagle Scout. And so for him, he took it, you know, like a champ, and he was just on an adventure and camping out, and it can't be that bad. And I'm like, do you understand that you just dragged me from my Upper West Side dream apartment, steps from Central Park, steps from the Hudson River, Trader Joe's around the corner, 24-hour McDonald's on the corner. Listen, I like my Diet Coke, and they have the best. And you're moving me to a tent. I'm supposed to be okay with this. I actually had the biggest panic attack of my life. So we moved on Saturday. We spent the night in Pennsylvania. We arrived on Sunday night at 9 o'clock at night. That night, I had an epic panic attack, the kind where I have to call my mom kind of panic attack. And I did. It was about 3 a.m, and I just jolted out of bed. And I was like, Paul, I can't breathe. I don't know what's going on. Where are we? Why are we doing this? Why are we here? What is happening? I don't, you know. Because, yeah. And I had to call my mom at 3 a.m, and she had been through it and prayed over me. And, you know, she's a pastor, so her prayers are pretty epic, and they usually calm me down. So it took me a while to bounce back from that. A panic attack that big, it doesn't just affect you mentally, it affects you physically. It kind of felt like, I mean, first of all, I spent 24 hours packing up an entire apartment and getting all that stuff loaded into a truck. And so physically, my body was already not having it. And then when you go through a panic attack like that, the amount of stress it puts on your physical body, it just took me a couple of days to bounce back from that. And then I didn't really bounce back into joy. I bounced back into depression. And I haven't, you know, I'm used to dealing with anxiety. That's kind of my MO. I have generalized anxiety disorder, but I'm not used to massive depressed spells. In fact, Paul's bipolar, and he always swings manic. He rarely goes on the depressed side either. So neither of us really deal with the depression as much. And that really threw me. I didn't quite know how to function. Everything kind of just felt like, is this real life? How can this even be real life? There's no way that nobody's ever experienced anything like this in our lifetime. Nothing feels real. Nothing feels normal. And then you take me out of the city that I've loved my entire life. And it just kind of, I'm still trying to figure out what this is supposed to look like, you know? Every day is different. Every day has its challenges. There's rarely, I mean, part of that is because we're starting a nonprofit in this world. Don't recommend it. Part of it is because we moved. Part of it is, you know, when you live in the touring community, I'm not used to being with my husband 24 hours a day. I'm not used to sleeping in the same bed with him every night. I'm used to having him for a couple weeks, and then bye. We each get our time, we get some space. And so even that part of it, of like, how do we coexist? and do it
Mm.
successfully and do it with love. And you know, yeah, we're each battling our own mental health battles, but then how do we bring each other up out of those? Like, how do we,
Mhm.
and it's been not fun. It's been the biggest battle we've both had with mental health in a long time, because neither one of us is up or down on the same day. It's, you know, today I was like, let's conquer the world, and Paul is like wanting to rip his hair out.
Mhm.
Then yesterday we were on the same team, and you know, we were holding hands again, and we were
Right.
remembering that we actually are partners, and we're in love, and we're happy, and we're healthy, and we're safe. And so it's that kind of thing. Even if you grasp it one day, the next day that can very much disappear, and you have to re-grasp it all over again. So it's been different.
And so you talk a lot about like regrasping and like fluctuating so much. Like what are your like techniques for like dealing with the fluctuation and the change of life and all of that? Because I know that someone like me, I need to journal. Like I need
Yeah.
to like write things down. Like what is your processing technique for like getting through something like this?
Yeah. So when we were in isolation, um, we kind of journaled,
Mm.
but we wrote on the walls with colored
Oh.
pencils. You know, did things that were, as kids, ruled as never do this. But I don't know, the creativity using colored pencils, things that I don't do as an adult, things that I don't do as a businesswoman, bringing you back to like, you know, childhood days, safe days. I
Right.
don't know. One of the things that I really have to do, for me, I'm an internal processor. That's just
Okay.
part of being an introvert. We don't really verbalize a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we do, it's writing it down, like you said, journaling. So one thing that I have to do every day is get outside, like touch the ground
Mm.
and realize that it's still here.
Yeah.
And look around and remember that there are still so many things to be thankful for. There are still so many, like our day in and day out, like you guys at school, I don't know, I don't, you know, I was a freshman in college when 9/11 happened.
Mm.
And I was actually at the semester away program with the Contemporary Music Center, right?
Right.
And so that totally flipped our whole semester upside down. We didn't even start learning, gosh, until the last couple of weeks of the semester, because we were
Wow.
still trying to figure out how do you cope with the unknown of a terrorist attack. Um, that's the only time that school was ever disrupted for me,
Mm.
you know, in my entire education. So I know that it's weird for you guys, learning remotely. That sure, you've done some of that, but all of it, and being sent home in the middle of your semester, like that, I don't know how you'd begin to process that. That can't be easy, but there is still so much every day to be thankful for. First, that you're even in a safe space. And you have to really kind of go, you have to start your day in the positives, because there are so many negatives that are going to just be thrown at, especially if you're watching TV, especially if you're looking at the headlines. You know, there's going to be so much negativity thrown at us day in and day out. So just to start your day in a place of positivity, whether that's through meditation, I've been doing a little bit of that, and not like, you know, 30-minute sessions. I'm talking like just 5 or 10 minutes where all the noise is turned off, and you're taking some deep breaths and just acknowledging the good that is still there. Another way is just checking in with different friends every day. That has helped me cope. Um, it's kind of like I have pen pals again.
Yeah.
That's been really interesting. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the different people that have come out of the woodworks, texting or emailing. Um, Not being attached to my screen all day is really important. Just
Yes.
that alone causes so much mental fatigue. And I know that's hard when you're trying to go to school online all day, but every one of us can take a break. We can all walk away. And even just 10 or 20 minutes away from the screen is really beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
But I would set boundaries immediately. Like I've had to set boundaries with work. You know, starting a nonprofit, I could work 24 hours a day
Yeah.
and lose my mind, right? And so I've been really clear with my team, like 7 o'clock Eastern, I'm done. Don't even try.
Mm.
Because they're all in California. So I start my day later. I pretend that
Right.
I'm in California when I'm in Eastern time zone. So setting boundaries at that kind of thing, like if you have to set boundaries with your family, with your siblings, set them. You know, just do it kindly. And set boundaries with yourself, you know, that you won't watch more than this or look at this website more than that. Super important. Prayer, of course. I mean, we can't take God out of this picture either. I mean, just look at the incredible things that have happened in our world as a result of this, like the ozone layer is getting a chance to heal,
Right,
you know?
right.
The pollution in all of our cities is disappearing. I saw a river in Vienna that used to just be cloudy, muddy, nasty, and now it's beautiful, clean, clear, and there are dolphins going through Vienna because they
It's
can.
amazing. Yeah.
So not all of this is gloom and doom. Not all of this is the end of the world. I know for seniors it's really difficult in both high school and college. It sucks. I get that. But, you know, take note, write things down, because this is never, hopefully never going to happen again, right? We're going to learn so much as a world from this pandemic that hopefully we won't have to slide back into this again, and it won't be something that you have to live through again. But you're going to want to go back in time and be like, what? Did this really happen? Am I crazy? Because I still can't comprehend that I went through 9/11 in Martha's Vineyard with a group of 30 kids. Just the bizarre things that happened in that timeline. I never wrote them down. And I can kind of grasp at a few things that I experienced and a few emotions that I felt. But I'd be really curious today to have read what that girl went through back then in 2001, right? And so I encourage you guys to do the same thing, because there's going to be some random lessons that you learn about yourself, that you learn about your family and friends, that you learn about your education, that you learn about your dreams and your goals, that when the craziness starts back up again, you might not have the ability to. Oh, I was just reading a question.
Yeah,
How does
same.
mental illness impact your spiritual journey with Christ? I'll get to that, I promise. Yeah, when the craziness starts up again, like when Paul starts touring again, he's going to be gone for a year and a half solid.
Wow.
I won't see him. I mean, I'll see him when I go see him,
Mm-hmm.
but usually we have a downtime in our industry over the winter months. That's not going to happen. We're just going to be working straight through.
Right.
And we're going to forget, we're going to go fall back into our routines and fall back into the life we used to live. And that's not going to do any good for us either. So hopefully that answered your question.
No, that's great. Thank you. That gives us so much to grasp onto, especially when it feels like there's nothing to grasp onto right now.
So much. Do you want me to answer that question that just popped up?
Yeah.
So, the question that just here, how does mental illness impact your spiritual journey with Christ? Well, I was not always anxious, but I grew up in a family of mental illness. That's been our MO my whole life. So it's been something that I've been aware of. I never thought that I would suffer from. And it didn't start until college at Greenville that my panic attacks started becoming real. But you know what? It's honestly in those times of anxiety that I am most close to God. That's when I feel him working in me and through me more than any other time. People sometimes ask me, like, if there was anything you could change, would that be it? Would you get rid of your panic attacks? And I really don't think that I would. It really helps me to understand friends and colleagues that are also going through it, and I can empathize better with them. And it forces me. It forces me on my knees, and it forces me to let go, like to literally just say, I'm done with this. I can no longer handle what is plaguing me in my brain, and it is yours, and I'm done, and figure it out for me, because I can't keep holding on to this. And it's really the only time that forces me to finally rely on God to handle all of my cares and concerns, right? That's what he's there for. But I don't let him, for some reason, because I'm a control freak.
Right.
I don't think that I need him in my everyday life, right? I don't think that I need him to be the one guiding me in my decisions daily. But I tell you what, when I'm having a panic attack, the only thing that I can think to do is to pray. And the only thing that heals me is prayer. And with Paul and his bipolar, that's something it can be very much managed with medication. And both of us we're both on medications for our mental health. And it's not so much, with panic attacks, it's like an immediate, I'm dying, I need help.
Right.
With bipolar, it's a daily up and down. sometimes seasonal up and down. Paul is really steady with his medication. I'm pretty steady with my medication. And so that's one thing. Often when I'm on vacation, I'll forget to take my my medication. Um, and I'll notice when I come home, like I'm all shifty again. So it's really easy when you're just home and you're in your pajamas most of the day, you're in your sweats and you're not going out and you don't have a routine to like forget that meds are a part of your mental health. And so I have to just make note of that. Still take your meds, still get out there. Exercise is super important for our mental health. Just fresh air, moving our bodies. But anyways, yeah, it's not so much a spiritual battle with Paul, but with me it is.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. It's just prayer and trust. It's really pushing my faith to its limits and trusting that this thing that I've been holding on to so tightly, I have to let go. And that's really it. It's kind of it gives me confidence that a lot of my friends can't have because they don't experience those saving graces necessarily that I am able to through those times.
Right.
So I'm really quite grateful, even though that seems crazy. I'm not bothered by the fact that I have anxiety, and I'm not bothered the fact that my husband's bipolar. I think it's our superpower. I think it's a gift. And yeah, you're welcome, Sid Rose 98. Happy to share.
No, that was so good because it's so amazing. Someone I haven't experienced a lot, but my mom has, and it's amazing to see how much of a spiritual battle it can be, especially in times right now when it feels like when we're waging, we're also waging that spiritual battle on the outside too, and we definitely feel it, the pressure like pushing in on us right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's all unknown. If we
I
don't know
know.
what's coming, how do we, especially for planners, and I'm not the Enneagram person, I can't, but those like control freak planners and us, this is a nightmare. I don't know what next week looks like, let alone tomorrow. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but whatever. Let's try to enjoy it because we'll never get this again.
I know. You could ask anyone on my GSGA team, but I'm a mega planner. That's why I'm in charge of the events.
That's why you're in charge, right?
Right. And so I'm in charge of the events. And so something I'm really struggling with planning is like my online school. Could you just real quick kind of talk about like what are some ways that I could cope with doing the online school in terms of like managing my work and managing, my feelings and I'm just feeling very overwhelmed. Like how do I manage that?
Sure. Well, I'd start with you need to be on a routine.
Okay.
Monday to Friday, you need to have a routine. Like it sounds so crazy, but like out of bed for me at 10 a.m. at the latest. Okay. I'm a night owl. Just don't judge me. Yes, I'm 38. Yes, I go to bed at 2 in the morning. So set yourself a routine. I would say, by 10 a.m., you have breakfast, you've had your whatever quiet time that you need, or maybe you don't need quiet time, you've gone on your run, and you're dressed. Get dressed. It helps. It's stupid, but it helps. Keep showering. Keep bathing. Sounds stupid. It helps. Whatever your routine was back at school, minus the social elements. Like if it's from 10 to 12, I'm gonna handle these 2 subjects. These are my goals. But every day at the end of the day, you're gonna have to make some goals for yourself of what you're going to accomplish the next morning and the next afternoon, and then set your boundary of when I'm going to be done with work so I can focus on this. So every day might look different, but it should still, in my opinion, have the same overview. Like 10 to 12 is whatever for school. Then I'm going to take an hour-long break, focus on myself, grab some lunch or whatever. And then 1 to 2 correspondence with this teacher or that, send emails to these people, do planning for, whatever your tasks include. But that's really it. It's keeping a routine, and that helps both, pass the time appropriately. It helps with your productivity. And it will help, I think, keep your mind at ease that you're not forgetting something. It's so easy to forget things right now. Yeah. Because you just figure, I've got all the time in the world. Of course no, you won't remember. Don't forget to like treat yourself to a movie night or have a Taco Tuesday or, take a bath with candles and Netflix and bubble bath and whatever. Like make sure that you schedule in fun times too. But break it apart into, you know, if this is for your major and this is for your gen ed, whatever, just break it apart into your times of the day. And I think that will, you know, it should help calm some of the crazy. And reach out to your instructors if you're really struggling with certain classes, um, assignments, whatever. Don't be afraid to communicate with your fellow students and your teachers, because everybody's in this together. The teachers are struggling, and sometimes the teachers don't realize that the assignments that they're giving may be like absolutely crazy to try to figure out from home. And if they don't hear from you guys the struggle that you're having, then they'll never know that they need to adjust their assignments. So
Right.
the teachers are going through this with you. Not all of those teachers are well versed in online education, and most of them, I mean, I really don't know. I'm not an education person, but I do know that there's a big difference between classroom teaching and online teaching. And so they're in this with you, and you got to give them some grace and communicate with them. If you're really struggling and you feel like something needs to change, tell them. That's the only way they're going to know. Don't be afraid of your teachers. They're there for you.
Yeah, I mean, the best part about all this, I was having a conversation, and I've told this to multiple people now, is that we're not alone.
No, not at all.
Right. Definitely not right now. Like,